Good morning. Oh man, that was kind of weak. Good morning. There you go. Thank you. We're going to get started now. We've established our quorum. The members will take their seat. And we will have our invocation. And our invocation today will be recognizing Chaplain Dr. Rochelle Coles of the Mount Airy Church of God in Christ. She is here today as the guest of Councilwoman Vaughn. I would ask all members, guests, and visitors to please rise.
Good morning.
Morning.
God of justice and mercy, we thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of our city. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint. Give us a spirit of service. Remind us that we are stewards of your authority. Guide us to be the leaders of your people. Help us to see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us and to treat all persons, no matter how weak or poor, with the reverence your creation deserves. And finally, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build a community worthy of the human person. We ask this as your sons and daughters, confident in your goodness and love. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Chaplain. We appreciate it. Council will be at ease. Thank you again, Chaplain, for your spiritual guidance this morning. We really appreciate it. First, I'd like to thank everyone who has come down to witness their government in action today. We really appreciate it. We hope you have an informative day. Thank you all for being here. Our next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Thursday, November 2nd, 2023, and the chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, November 2nd, 2023 be approved.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, November 2nd, 2023 stand approved. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and our journal is approved. And our next order of business is request for leave of absence, and the chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Mr. President, on behalf of the members, there are 3 requests for leaves of absence today. Member O'Neill, Member Squilla, and Member Lozada.
The chair thanks the gentleman, and leave shall be granted. Let the record reflect. And now, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass again for a motion concerning certain legislative matters that may arise during the course of today's session of council that were not listed on the calendar prior to our session today.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that any of the following matters, if considered today, may be added to the agenda for this session of council and, as required by law, subsequently published on an amended agenda after the consideration of those matters. Resolutions authorizing hearings, amendments to bills on first reading, the reconsideration of a bill vetoed by or recalled from the mayor, amendments to bills recalled from the mayor, resolutions taking substantive action to be voted on in this session, a motion to withdraw a bill or resolution that is not on the calendar, and a motion placing a bill or resolution on or returning a bill or resolution from the suspension calendar that is not listed on today's calendar. The purpose of this motion is to provide the public with notice concerning possible actions by council that arose too late to be included on the calendar that was published prior to today's session.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the legislative matters stated by Councilwoman Bass may be added to the agenda for today should those matters arise during the course of today's session. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Motion carries. And our next order of business is communications, and I would ask the clerk to please read the messages that he has from the mayor or any other communications that he may have in his possession today.
From the mayor to the president and members of the council of the city of Philadelphia, I am pleased to advise you that on November 9 and November 13, 2023, I signed all the bills that were passed by council on October 26, 2023, except bill number 230550, which I am returning without my signature. And that on November 13, 2023, I signed all the bills that were passed by council on November 2, 2023, except bill number 230578, which I am returning without my signature. And I am transmitting for the consideration of your honorable body a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 3000 Ruth Street located in the 7th Councilmanic District, and an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a lease agreement with Crown Two-Peasant Center Associates for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 1500 John F. Kennedy Boulevard, and an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority as sub-landlord for use by the city as subtenant of a portion of the premises located at 216 North Broad Street, and an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a lease between the City of Philadelphia as landlord and the South Street Head House District of Philadelphia as tenant for use by the SSHD of all or a portion of the premises commonly known as Head House and Shambles, located on the 400 block of South 2nd Street, and an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 2844 Frankfurt Avenue, and an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the city of Philadelphia to enter into a lease with Orthodox Street Properties as landlord, with the city as tenant for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 3150 Orthodox Street, and an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a lease with Hoon Ho Oh as landlord with the city as tenant for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 4029 Market Street, and an ordinance amending authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to acquire from the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority fee simple title or a lesser real estate interest by purchase, condemnation, deed in lieu of donation, dedication, or otherwise to all or a portion of the parcel or parcels of land more commonly known as 851 North 13th Street, 2401 North 32nd Street, 1220 through 30 Kenilworth Street, 3223 through 33 Ray Street, 213 through 17 North 33rd Street, 46 through 48 Riota Street, 4016 through 24 Powelton Avenue, and 1532 through 36 South Stillman Street. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a lease with Lim Siv Hui with the city as tenant for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 3724 North Broad Street, and an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a lease agreement with NF 6601 New State Road Partners for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 6601 New State Road. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 1628 through 40 John F. Kennedy Boulevard. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 1000 East Comley Street. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into an amendment to a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 1101 Market Street. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 1221 through 23 Bainbridge Street. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into an amendment to a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for use by the city of an additional portion of the premises located at 1327 through 29 Chestnut Street. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a lease with the Leon Sullivan Charitable Trust as landlord, with the city as tenant for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 1415 North Broad Street. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to amend an existing lease with HSS Office Ventures 2 as successor landlord with the city as tenant for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 1930 South Broad Street, and an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to facilitate development of a project area consisting of 1, property bounded by Keller Hill Street, North 19th Street, Wood Street, and North 20th Street, and 2, property bounded by Wood Street, North 18th Street, Vine Street, and North 19th Street, both as more particularly described in Exhibit A. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation to enter into a multi-year agreement with Galaxy Restaurants Catering Group, doing business as Constellation Culinary Group, for the management and operation of event planning and catering at the Fairmount Park Horticultural Center. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation to enter into a multi-year agreement with Bennett Compost Incorporated for food scrap collection and management of a compost facility on city property located at 5650 Rising Sun Avenue. And an ordinance authorizing the Procurement Commissioner to enter into agreements to purchase electricity, natural gas, and motor fuel for use by the city in city facilities and vehicles, including agreements that obligate payment for delivery of such energy supplies in future fiscal years. And an ordinance authorizing the opening of the northerly 10 feet wide portion of Vine Street from 18th Street to 9th Street and from 19th Street to 20th Street, being land owned by the city, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. Our next order of business is introduction of bills and resolutions, and I would ask the clerk to please read the titles of the legislation that's being offered by our members today.
Councilman Phillips offers an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a sublease with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for use by the City of all or a portion of the premises located at 1000 East Comley Street.
For the committee.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson offers a privilege resolution honoring and congratulating the American Institute of Architects Philadelphia on its 150th anniversary celebration.
Today's calendar.
Councilman Thomas offers 2 resolutions entitled a privilege resolution authorizing the Committee on Streets and Services to hold hearings to investigate the rise in moving violations and traffic deaths since 2020 and explore solutions to create a safer Philadelphia for people walking, cycling, and driving.
Today's calendar.
And a privilege resolution honoring and congratulating Champion of the Week, Suli Khalifa, a carpenter apprentice at Carpenter's Apprentice Ready Program, for his dedication and hard work advancing his carpentry skills.
Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. First of all, I wanted to just offer a moment to offer my condolences to Kevin Clare. Kevin was the longtime teacher at Masterman High School who unfortunately lost his life in a tragic incident involving a motor vehicle. And it's unfortunate, and my prayers go out to the entire Masterman community as well as his family, because no one should ever lose their life in a matter like that. For us on the City Council side, this is an issue that we've been pushing since 2020. In 2020, when a lot of us were home, we seen our roads open up, and we seen more accidents happen in 2020 than what we had seen in decades. And as a council body, we acted immediately. We had hearings, we had dialogue, and we talked to experts to figure out why did we see such a spike in hit and runs and car accidents in general in 2020. And based on the findings of that work by this legislative body and the Streets Committee, there were a lot of different things that we advocated for, such as new technology for the police department. At the time when an accident would take place, according to the police department and their testimony, I believe it was Captain Overwise, if my memory serves me correctly, he said that they are manually collecting evidence with rulers and tape measures and things of that capacity, while other counties outside of the city of Philadelphia are using the newest technology to collect evidence when accidents take place. So not only did we advocate for more money to be able to have the proper technology to collect evidence when an accident takes place, we also advocated for investment in infrastructure. During that time, we found that over 80% of our car accidents took place on 12% of our roads, which means 12% of our roads are causing the majority of the car accidents here in the city of Philadelphia. And we also learned during that time that it was the way our streets were designed that often put us in a position to cause these car accidents, on top of the fact that when a lot of people aren't on the road, people are more inclined to speed and drive a little recklessly. So Now that we're in a space and a place where we're continuing to see a lot of issues, specifically issues involving cyclists and pedestrians, we want to examine where we are now. A couple years later, we want to look at what technology has been purchased, what investments have we seen in infrastructure, and do our best to try to make sure that people can travel across the city of Philadelphia in a safe way. So I look forward to the Streets Committee having that hearing to be able to have that conversation. On a lighter note, I was surprised today by one of my mentees who came down to shadow me for the day, and I didn't know it was going to happen. So since she surprised me and caught me off guard, I'm going to surprise her and catch her off guard. Imani is an 8th grade student at Germantown Academy. Is that right, y'all? Germantown Academy. She's an honor roll student. She volunteered this summer at my camp and did a phenomenal job working with young people younger than her. And she showed up today because she wanted to see her government in action. And I think it's a phenomenal thing when we have young people who want to spend the day understanding how local government works. So can we give Imani a round of applause? Imani, can you stand up, please? Honor roll student, model student, does a ton of community service, and I'll bet one day a lot of us will be working for her. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Councilman. And that resolution will be on today's final passes calendar.
Councilman Jones offers 11 bills and 2 resolutions. On behalf of Council President Clark, an ordinance authorizing the opening of the northerly 10 feet wide portion of Vine Street from 18th Street to 19th Street, and an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the city to facilitate development of a project area consisting of property bounded by Callowhill Street, North 19th Street, Wood Street, and North 20th Street, and property bounded by Wood Street, North 18th Street, Vine Street, and North 19th Street. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a lease agreement with Leon Sullivan Charitable Trust for use by the City of all or a portion of the premises located at 1415 North Broad Street. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a sublease with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for use by the City of all or a portion of the premises located at 1628 through 40 John F. Kennedy Boulevard. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority as sublandlord for use by the city as subtenant of a portion of the premises located at 216 North Broad Street. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a lease with Crown 2 Penn Center Associates for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 1500 John F. Kennedy Boulevard. And an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Crease Street and Waldy Street, Lawrence Street and George Street, North 3rd Street to Fairmount Avenue, North 3rd Street to George Street, North 6th Street and Brown Street, Waldy Street and Marlborough Street. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to acquire fee simple title or a lesser real estate interest to all or a portion of a certain parcel or parcels of land from the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority. And on his own behalf, Councilman Jones offers an ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe in the vicinity of 4317 Fleming Street, and an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a multi-year agreement with Galaxy Restaurants Catering Group, doing business as Constellation Culinary Group, for the management and operation of event planning and catering at the Fairmount Park Horticulture Center. And an ordinance renaming and designating the area of land bounded by Parkside Avenue and Belmont Avenue as the Miller Park Philadelphia Stars Negro League Memorial Park.
Those bills will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And on his own behalf, Councilman Jones offers a privilege resolution honoring and celebrating the 110th anniversary of the historic Falls Schuylkill Library.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the resolutions I introduced today was to change the name of a park which was dedicated to the Negro League in baseball. But the advocate for that park was a gentleman by the name of Miller Parker, who many of you know, who was one of the principals at the Business and Technology Center on Parkside Avenue. Unfortunately, he passed away. But for those of you who knew him, he was the Frederick Douglass of West Philly. He had a stature and a fro that went together, and he always had something positive to say about business and about advocacy for the Parkside community. He will be truly missed and hopefully memorialized by his favorite park, which is the Negro Baseball League. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. That will be on today's calendar.
And Councilman Jones and Councilwoman Gautier offer a non-privileged resolution calling on the Pennsylvania General Assembly to pass comprehensive legislation providing sustainable relief to an overburdened system and to protect children held at the Philadelphia Juvenile Justice Services Center by recognizing time spent as time served.
Next week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gautier.
Thank you, Council President. I want to start by thanking Majority Leader Jones for authoring this resolution, which I am proudly co-introducing. Majority Leader Jones has been a critical partner as we work to end the dangerous conditions at the Philadelphia Juvenile Justice Services Center. And his leadership on the issue helped bring the center below capacity for the first time in more than 18 months. As of Monday, there were 181 young people in the center, 3 below capacity, and I'm told that we dropped to an even lower level since then. I also want to thank Councilmember Thomas for his advocacy and partnership on this issue. My team and I have been resolutely focused on addressing the deplorable conditions at the Philadelphia Juvenile Justice Services Center for months. We started this work by hosting several listening sessions with young people who were formerly detained and young people who are currently detained at PJJSC so that we could hear what is going on directly from the source. We also spoke with leaders of various organizations that serve youth to understand what they were hearing. And we're in active conversation with DHS and with PADHS at the state level to determine how we can reduce the number of young people we're sending to PJJSC and improve the conditions at the center. So while I cannot say that the recent Enquirer story came as much of a surprise, it still broke my heart and filled me with anger too. Because no one should be subjugated to such inhumane conditions, most especially our children. But what is perhaps most mind-boggling to me is that young people do not get credit for the time they serve at PJJSC. This means, for example, that if a young person spends 6 months in detention awaiting a 6-month placement, their sentence is effectively doubled. I do understand that placements are intended to provide treatment, which a detention center is not equipped to do. However, I also believe that doubling, and in some cases tripling or quadrupling someone's sentence is not justice. I also feel compelled to mention that the state occasionally sends young Philadelphians to Texas for placement, dropping them more than 1,500 miles away from their families, their communities, and their city. While this gets kids out of PJJSC, this is by far one of the worst solutions proposed by the state, and it is unacceptable to me, full stop. These injustices work directly against our efforts to eradicate the school-to-prison pipeline and mass incarceration that has ripped working-class Black and brown families apart for generations. That's why through this resolution, we're formally urging our colleagues in the General Assembly to enact common sense legislative reform that includes recognizing time spent at PJJSC as time served. We will keep working with the administration on this issue until the young people and staff at PJJSC, as well as the neighbors in the surrounding area, feel safe. If you or your loved one are impacted by overcrowding at PJJSC, I encourage you to reach out to my office. We want to hear from you, we value your insights, and we won't stand idly by as young people are forced to live in appalling conditions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to take a moment to first and foremost thank Council members Jones and Gautier for their leadership on this particular issue. I just want to put an exclamation point on what this resolution is saying because it's that important. Anybody who don't understand the importance and the significance of this, I can tell you firsthand, I've been there. I've gone there. I was just there a couple weeks ago. And when you look at not just the conditions that the staff and the young people are in, but just put your mind around the fact that a young person is trying to put themselves in a position where as though they're acknowledging they've done something wrong, they're trying to get their lives on the path to being a productive member of society, and they're sitting in a juvenile center for they don't know how long. It could be a week, it could be a month, it could be 6 months, and while they're sitting there, they haven't started serving their sentence yet. This is a significant issue because we're literally throwing time away that those young people will essentially never get back. So I appreciate both of my colleagues' leadership on this particular issue, and I rarely do this, but I had to take a moment just to think about the 9 young people who I sat with when I was there a couple weeks ago, and the young man who was sitting to my left that literally said to me, I'm trying to get my life on the right track, but I can't even start serving my sentence because I've been sitting here waiting for 6 months. Imagine having that young man sitting right next to you, looking you in your face and telling you, I'm trying to do better. I want to get it right. I'm acknowledging that I made a mistake, and I want to begin the process of turning my life around, but I'm stuck in limbo. Let's get our young people out of limbo. Let's put them in a position to be able to rectify their wrong, and if they are in the juvenile center and they pleaded guilty, they should begin serving their sentence right away. We as government should not force them to be in a position where they're sitting. Sometimes it's in the equivalence of solitary confinement because it's so packed there and they can't transition to the next phase of their life. So again, thank you to my colleagues for your leadership on this issue, but we're going to have to be very vocal and very aggressive in our advocacy, working with our state partners to put us in a position to rectify this issue and a number of other issues that they're facing in the center. But I agree with my colleagues, this is probably the most urgent one that we're facing for those young people right now. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Again, next week's calendar.
Councilman Johnson offers 9 bills and 1 resolution. On his own behalf, Councilman Johnson offers an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into an amendment to a lease agreement with HSS Office Ventures for use by the city of an additional portion of the premises located at 1930 South Broad Street, and an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a sublease with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 1221 through 23 Bainbridge Street, and an ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of projecting canopies in the vicinity of 200 South Broad Street, and an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Ellsworth Street and South 16th Street to South 20th Street, Latona Street and South 16th Street to South 20th Street, South 20th Street and Federal Street to Dickinson Street, South 21st Street and Annan Street, Mole Street and South Dickinson Street, and an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of South 64th Street and Woodland Avenue, Cormorant Place and 66th Street, 65th Street and Woodland Avenue, 58th Street and Woodland Avenue. And on behalf of Councilwoman Lozada, Councilman Johnson offers an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a sublease with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 2844 Frankfurt Avenue, and an ordinance amending Chapter 11708 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Traffic Calming Measures for Schools by authorizing the Department of Streets to additionally install traffic calming measures in the vicinity of recreation centers, and an ordinance adding a new Chapter 1600 of the Philadelphia Code entitled City Reports on Opioid Antidote Use to require certain reports from the Office of the Managing Director to Council concerning the city's use of opioid antidote, and an ordinance adding a new Chapter 102700 to the Philadelphia Code entitled City Reports on Impermissible Camping to require certain reports from the Office of the Managing Director to Council concerning camping activities carried out in violation of the code and the city's efforts to address such activities.
Those bills will be referred to the appropriate committee.
Also, on behalf of Councilwoman Lozada, Councilman Johnson offers a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 3000 Root Street, located in the 7th Councilmanic District.
Next week's calendar.
Councilwoman Gaudier offers 6 bills and 2 resolutions. Entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on portions of City Plan numbers 98 and 130 in the area lying north of Market Street and Powelton Avenue and west of 42nd Street by placing on the City Plan Melville Street from Mandela Way to Holden Street, Holden Street from Melville Street to 45th Street, Nehemiah Way from Melville Street to Powelton Avenue, Boosty Street from Nehemiah Way to Haverford Avenue, Mandela Way from Melville Street to Boosty Street, 45th Street from Mandela Way to Holden Street, and St. Malachy's Way from Melville Street to Boosty Street. And an ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe in the vicinity of 3231 Powelton Avenue. And an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on portions of City Plan numbers 98 and 130 by relocating the existing curb lines and house lines at the intersection of Powelton Avenue and Nehemiah Way, and at the intersection of Boosty Street and Haverford Avenue to accommodate various intersection improvements. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation and the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to lease or sublease a portion of the premises owned by the School District of Philadelphia, bounded by Walnut Street, South 59th Street, Spruce Street, and South 58th Street in Philadelphia. And an ordinance authorizing the paving of Melville Street from Mandela Way to Holden Street from Melville Street to 45th Street, Nehemiah Way from Melville Street to Powelton Avenue, Boosty Street from Nehemiah Way to Haverford Avenue, Mandela Way and Melville Street to Boosty Street, 45th Street from Mandela Way to Holden Street, and St. Malachy's Way from Melville Street to Boosty Street. And an ordinance authorizing the striking from City Plan numbers 98 and 130 and vacating a Boosty Street extending northwardly from Holden Street to a cul-de-sac, and Holden Street extending westwardly from Powelton Avenue to a cul-de-sac.
Those bills will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And a privilege resolution designating November 25, 2023, the Day of Serenity in the City of Philadelphia, providing communities disproportionately impacted by gun violence the opportunity to gather in peace and healing.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gautier.
Thank you, Council President. I wanted to speak on this resolution briefly. The Day of Serenity was first organized by Charles Tone Barr in 2021, or following 2021, where we had 562 homicides, and Tone really wanted to have a day where communities impacted by gun violence could gather and could heal. And he also meant for it to be a day where we recognize the positivity that is present within these communities. A lot of times, because we've been experiencing this gun violence crisis, the violence becomes a story. But these neighborhoods are full of positive stories as well, and love, and hardworking people who are trying every day to, keep it together for themselves and their families, and also doing a lot to keep their neighbors safe and keep young people safe. And so that is what the Day of Serenity is meant to symbolize. I want to recognize Tone Barr, who is here with us today. Tone, can you stand? In addition to organizing this day, Tone works with Philadelphia Masjid, doing a lot of great community engagement. He mentors young people at the Philadelphia Juvenile Justice Services Center, and is just a great community leader and my friend. So thank you so much for this day, and I'm glad that we're able to recognize it here in Council. And I also wanted to take an opportunity to recognize some people who are here with us today. So up in the balcony, we have middle school students from Penn Alexander. Please stand, guys. So these students are actually Penn Alexander's student council. So they are playing a leadership and a governance role within their school, and they came to see their city council in action, and we welcome them today. Thank you so much for joining us. And then we also have some parents and staff here from the Philadelphia School District's Head Start program. Can you guys stand up? Here we go. And they are actually joining us. They are part of Head Start's Policy Council, so they're here to see their government in action as well, and brought here by Dwayne Drummond, who not only works for Head Start, but is a great ward leader and community leader in Mantua. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I also want to echo the sentiments of my colleague, just in acknowledging the hard work and dedication of Tone Barr as it relates to addressing the issue of senseless gun violence here in the city of Philadelphia. I met Tone about 2 years ago at the Church of Christian Compassion at a funeral for a young man that was murdered, and from that point forward, I had a chance to develop a relationship with him, but most importantly, observing him being on the front line day in and day out, and trying to find ways to address gun violence through violence prevention and bringing people all from across the city of Philadelphia together around working on this critical issue. And so, well-deserved acknowledgement. Also acknowledging his supporter, Rockefeller, former recording artist, Philadelphia Freeway, who runs the Freedom Thinkers Academy. Let's give both of you stand again and give both of them a round of applause as well. I think the fact that Freeway took time out of his schedule to come down here to be supportive of Tone is a testament of Tone's character. Because at the end of the day, when you're very busy and you're going around the country in the music industry, but also promoting your own philanthropic efforts, to take time out and show support of a friend who's also been acknowledged is a testament of what Tone stands for. So Tone, you continue to keep up the good work with you and your team and the great work that you're doing at Philadelphia Mass Shit, and congratulations. Good job, Councilman Jamie Gaudier. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilwoman Gaudier also offers a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 1221 St. Bernard Street in the 3rd Councilmanic District.
Next week's calendar.
Councilman Driscoll offers 3 bills entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a lease agreement with NF 6601 New State Partners for use by the City of all or a portion of the premises located at 6601 New State Road, and an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a lease agreement with Orthodox Street Properties for use by the City of all or a portion of the premises located at 3150 Orthodox Street, and an ordinance amending Chapter 9(200) of the Philadelphia Code entitled Commercial Activities on Streets by designating a neighborhood business district in the 6th Councilmanic District for authorized sidewalk vending and make technical changes.
Thank you. Those bills will be referred to the appropriate committees.
Councilwoman Bass offers 8 bills. On behalf of Councilman Squilla, an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to modify certain easements and enter into an easement agreement with Farnell LLC for a portion of the parcel or parcels of land in and about the area bounded by Noble Street, 12th Street, Callahill Street, and 13th Street, more commonly known as 411 through 19 North 13th Street. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into an amendment to a sublease with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for use by the city of an additional portion of the premises located at 1327 through 29 Chestnut Street. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into an amendment to a sublease with the Philadelphia Authority for industrial development for use by the city of all or portion of the premises located at 1101 Market Street. And an ordinance repealing an ordinance bill number 230486 entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan number 308 by striking from the City Plan and vacating Addison Street from a point approximately 80 feet east of 5th Street to its terminus further easterly therefrom, and reserving and placing on the city plan of right-of-way for sewer and drainage purposes within the portion of Addison Street being stricken, and authorizing acceptance of the grant to the city to said right-of-way. And an ordinance authorizing an encroachment in the nature of a staircase in the vicinity of 1446 South 8th Street, and an ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe in the vicinity of 2620 East Allegheny Avenue, and an ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe in the vicinity of 2636 East Ann Street, And on her own behalf, Councilwoman Bass offers an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the City of Philadelphia to enter into a lease agreement with Lim Siv Hui for use by the city of all or a portion of the premises located at 3724 North Broad Street.
Thank you. Those bills will be referred to the appropriate committee.
There are no other bills or resolutions being offered today by the members, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. That concludes our introduction of bills and resolutions. And our next order of business is reports from committee. And the chair recognizes Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson for a report from the Committee on Law and Government.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Law and Government reports one bill and one resolution with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, the Committee on Law and Government, to which is referred Bill Number 230740, entitled, An Ordinance Providing for the Submission of the Qualified Electors of the City of Philadelphia, the proposal set forth in a resolution approved by Council, proposing an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to provide for indemnification and defense by the city in connection with claims made against registered community organizations arising directly out of the lawful participation by such an organization in zoning matters and related land use process. And Resolution Number 230750, entitled a resolution proposing an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to provide for indemnification and defense by the city in connection with claims made against any registered community organization arising directly out of the lawful participation by such an organization in zoning matters and related land use process, and providing for the submission of the amendment to the electors of Philadelphia. Respectfully reports it has considered and amended the same, and returns the attached bill and resolution to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of Bill Number 230740.
Thank you. It has been moved and probably seconded that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 230740. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Motion carries in resolution. This bill will be placed on our first reading calendar today. Resolution number 230750 will be placed on our final passage calendar at our next session of council. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Brooks.
I just wanted to recognize someone. Do you want to finish the?
Okay, we're good. You want to do it now? Yeah, before I call up the next bill. You can go now, Councilwoman.
Okay, I just wanted to recognize Councilmember-elect Nicholas O'Rourke, who's joining me today in council. That's it.
It's okay.
Thank you so much, Council President.
Thank you. You have to say a prayer for us before you become a member of this body, sir. All right. Thank you. And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge and recognize Councilmember-elect Jeff Young. I didn't want to get scolded by the people in the 5th District. Say, you didn't recognize Jay, right? Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay. Chair now recognizes Councilman Thomas for a report from the Committee on Streets and Services.
Thank you, Council President. The Committee on Streets and Services reports out 3 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
The Committee on Streets and Services, to which is referred Bill Number 230249, entitled an ordinance establishing a no truck parking regulation on both sides of 52nd Street between Arlington Street and West Burke Street, and a no parking truck regulation on both sides of 53rd Street between Lebanon Avenue and Arlington Street. And Bill Number 230511, entitled an ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe in the vicinity of 4001 Crescent Street. And Bill Number 230717, entitled an ordinance extending the term of the existence of the Philadelphia Parking Authority. Respectfully reports that it's considered the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. The chair again recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. I move that the rules of council be suspended as to permit the first reading this day of bills number 230249, 230511, and 230717.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit the first reading this day of bills number 230, 249, 230, 511, and 230, 717. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, Ayes have it. These bills will be placed on our first reading calendar today. The chair now recognizes Councilman Driscoll for a report from the Committee on License and Inspection.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Licensing and Inspections reports out 2 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
The Committee on Licenses and Inspections, to which is referred Bill Number 230569, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 94400 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Responsible Business Operations, to expand the provisions for video monitoring of nuisance businesses and to provide additional enforcement mechanisms in connection with certain nuisance businesses engaged in drug paraphernalia sales. And Bill Number 230647, entitled an ordinance amending Subcode A, the Philadelphia Administrative Code, and Subcode PM, the Philadelphia Property Maintenance Code of Title IV, and Chapter 93900, Property, Licenses, and Owner Accountability of the Philadelphia Code, to modify prohibitions, remedies, including fines, and licensing and certification requirements related to shared retaining walls. Respectfully reports it as considered the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilman Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 230569 and 230647.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit the first reading this day of bills number 230569 and 230647. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Motion carries, and these bills will be placed on our first reading calendar today. The chair now recognizes Councilwoman Bass for a report from the Committee on Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs reports 1 bill with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
The Committee on Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs, to which is referred Bill Number 230576, entitled an ordinance renaming and designating the property, commonly referred to as the Charles Baker Recreation Center, located at 5433 Lansdowne Avenue, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as the Charles Baker and Carol Baker Rice Recreation Center. Respectfully reports that it has considered the same and returns the attached bill to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. The chair again recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bill number 230576.
Second. Thank you. It's been moved and probably second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 230576. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and this bill will be placed on our first reading calendar today. Chair now recognizes Councilman Jones for a report from the Committee on Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Public Safety reports 1 bill with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
The Committee on Public Safety, to which is referred Bill Number 230510, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 10600 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Public Spaces, Prohibited Conduct, by prohibiting certain facial coverings from being worn in certain spaces under certain terms and conditions. Respectfully reports that it has considered and amended the same and returns the attached bill to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you again, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit first reading this day of bill number 230510.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 230510. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Motion carries, and this bill will be placed on our first reading calendar today. Excuse me. Our next order of business is the consideration of the calendar, and I note that the bills just reported from committee with the suspension of the rules have been deemed to have had their first reading. They will be on their second reading and final passage calendar at our next session of council. There are no additional bills on the first reading calendar today, so the chair recognizes Councilman Jones for the purpose of calling on bills and resolutions on the final passage calendar today.
Thank you again, Mr. President. The following resolutions and bill will be called up from second reading to final passage calendars today. Numbers 230-786, 230-789, 230-790, 230795, 230796, 230797, 230798, 230800, 230574A, and 230654. All other bills and resolutions are being held.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Before we consider the bills and resolutions on the calendar today, we will have our public comment session. Our public comment session will go as follows. If you have signed up to speak as a witness today, your name will be called in the order of which you signed up. If you have not signed up and you still have an interest in speaking in the public comment session today, you may do so in the hallway, at the desk, with the Sergeant of Arms. When your name is called, you will come in, you will go to the podium in the middle of the council chambers. There's a device along with the mic. When the light turns green on that device, it will be your time to speak. When the light turns yellow, you will have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks, and when the light turns red, we'd ask that you please adhere to our guidelines and conclude your remarks. Today, because of the low volume, we will have the maximum 3 minutes allowed to testify on a particular bill or resolution. Thank you very much for your willingness to participate, again, in your government in action. And with that, Mr. Decker, please call the first name on the list.
Rebecca Johnson.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yep. Rebecca Johnson. I am the Executive Director of AIA Philadelphia. I wanted to briefly thank Councilwoman Kathleen Gilmore Richardson for acknowledging 150 years of the American Institute of Architects in Philadelphia. Our association is not only one of the largest communities of architects in the country, it's also, over its 150-year history, been committed to supporting communities in Philadelphia. We care very much about a lot of the issues that you were talking about here in this body. Architecture in the built environment has a profound impact on all of us, both individually and collectively. And together we want to work with you to continue the work that you have already done to make Philadelphia a leader in sustainability and building performance, investing in high-quality public spaces for every neighborhood in Philadelphia, to focus and foster equity and diversity in both the design and the construction industries, and be bold and impactful when thinking about how to meet the affordable housing crisis in our city. On behalf of the over 1,800 architects that I am honored to represent, we thank you for this recognition. We look forward to working with you to design an even better Philadelphia. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Charles Tone Barr.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Charles Tone Barr. I'm the Community Liaison Director of the Philadelphia Masjid. I want to first and foremost thank Councilwoman Jamie Gauthier. Thank you, Kiana Johnson, for the warm remarks. I'm kind of nervous because I haven't really spoke like this in a while, but the Day of Serenity is a day where we're honoring 20 families that's been affected by gun violence and trauma. So, you know, it's not a Christian thing, it's not a Muslim thing, it's a humanitarian type thing what we're dealing with. It used to be a time when women and children were safe. You can forget about that now. So, you know, gun violence is a symptom of a huge problem that we must come together to fight. So I'm asking for everybody in here, please, I'll work with anybody, but we have to eradicate this gun violence. So, you know, I'm always at the Philadelphia Masjid, and I'm boots on the ground, and I'm gonna keep on fighting and fighting until we eradicate gun violence. So thank you for passing this resolution, and like I said, it's a humanitarian thing what we're dealing with right now. It's not a white issue, it's not a black issue, it's a humanitarian issue, and we gotta be boots on the ground fighting this, because I'm not okay with burying children every other day. I'm not okay with burying females every other day, you know, so we have to stand together in solitude, and, you know, we gotta stand together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Crystal Canty, commenting on 210396.
Hello, my name is Crystal Canty.
Good morning.
I want to say I appreciate the
the love that our children are receiving here today as far as planning new things for them to stop the gun violence. One of the major things that I think we are overlooking is the fact that a lot of our children are not with their parents. It's making them unhappy, and a lot of the reasons why we have the gun violence with the young society today is because their family life is jacked up. Excuse me. Their family life is not where it needs to be, and I think if we look a little bit more into DHS reform and the ways that they are breaking up families, we wouldn't have so many abandoned children out here. A lot of the women are losing their children over something as simple as beds, something as simple as just having an apartment. I think if we fix the housing issue in Philadelphia, it would help a lot of the ongoing problems as far as violence, as far as children hanging out in the street, not having anywhere to go, and different things like that. I brought some things that I would like you guys to look over because for some reason...
Ma'am, speak. You want to make sure we hear what you're saying.
Okay, I'm sorry. I brought some flyers and some different things that I would like for you guys to look over and maybe take into consideration. A lot of the programs that I've built in Southwest Philadelphia, as far as Tasty Tuesdays, is an after-school community youth dinner where we hand out groceries and different meals to the children. They loved it. Another one of the things that I've made up was the first annual Family First Charity. It's a garden party. It's to help women at DHS get lawyers and different things that they need in order to keep their children so that we won't have so many lost children in foster care, not knowing who they are. So I just wanted to say another thing as far as the mortgages and foreclosing. 50% of Philadelphia are renters. That has a lot to do with why a lot of people don't respect homes and values and different things like that. The three most essential things that we need is food, shelter, and water. So if those things are being overlooked, there will be a lot of unhappy people. So maybe we can look into those things, settling these things, and then our children could be a lot more happier with the parents. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
Here you go, I'll take it.
The next speaker is Lynn Landis, commenting on 210913.
You have 3 minutes.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Lynn Landis, founder of wildfoodies.org. I support Resolution 210913, authorizing City Council to retain legal counsel to file a lawsuit to require the administration to implement and enforce the Healthy Outdoor Public Spaces Act, which was designed to end the use of pesticides on city property. This is an enforcement issue. The non-enforcement of local, state, and federal laws has become a blight on our nation and demands our attention, particularly when it applies to our constitutional rights, such as the right to free speech. For example, today I would like to speak about the election we just had, but City Council policy of restricting public comments to agenda items only precludes me from doing so. This policy, no matter how well-intentioned, is a violation of both state and federal Sunshine Acts. In addition, the motion concerning the calendar that is inserted at the beginning of each meeting, each City Council meeting, also appears to violate the Sunshine Act, as it routinely allows City Council to vote on substantive matters without giving the public the opportunity to make an informed public comment. Add to that, many City Council committees do not hold regularly scheduled meetings where citizens could make public comments on government matters. Instead, they only hold meetings when they have an agenda that they have approved. Frankly, we do have the right to talk about important government issues at regularly scheduled public meetings. For example, we continue to hold elections where votes are cast and counted without any meaningful oversight that is necessary in order to guarantee the integrity of election results. This is not a Democrat versus Republican issue. It also affects who wins the primaries and questions on the ballot. Frankly, I think many, if not most Americans, are fed up with our political parties and want the focus to be on the issues. And in that context, Americans want their voices not only to be heard, but also to count. How we do that is something we should be talking about. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Wick Savage, commenting on 210396.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, President, City Council, Darrell Clark, and council members. I'm discussing the matter of Bill 210918, the foreclosure bill that Councilman Curtis Jones has permitted or have introduced to council body. I first want to thank the council and also the city of Philadelphia for electing the first female mayor in 100 years of Philadelphia. We all deserve an applause for that great accomplishment. I also want to thank Councilman Clark for having some form of input, and also Councilman Curtis Jones, to have the Philadelphia Eagles and Comcast to grant both of those teams that had witnessed and experienced such a violent act in playing a football game. Both teams have been awarded $5,000 to improve their security in both of those facilities. That is a great accomplishment. Now I want to get on the subject about foreclosures. The city of Philadelphia is the elephant in the room. It has powers to stop and legislate, and the power of the pen to stop any form of institutions that are affecting the citizens. Foreclosures are a detriment to people owning their homes. Everyone don't deserve to be kicked out in the street. You have a 10,000-pound gorilla, the banks and the legal community. They have one interest, the bottom line. The homeowners of Philadelphia don't have a chance fighting against that 10,000-pound gorilla. You have to do everything in your powers to help the citizens of Philadelphia to be able to have a fair fighting chance against this unbelievable facilities and individuals that have all the resources to take these people's homes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
There are no other speakers today, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Ducker. That concludes our public comment for today. We will now move on to our consideration of the bills and resolutions on the second reading and final passage calendar. Mr. Decker, would you please read the title of resolution number 230-786?
A resolution honoring and congratulating Marcus Morris on his trade to the Philadelphia 76ers, his hometown team.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones for Councilman Thomas.
Thank you. I move for the adoption on behalf of Councilmember Thomas of the resolution.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that the resolution be adopted. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Decker, please read the title of resolution number 230-794.
Resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 3358 Kensington Avenue located in the 7th Councilmanic District.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Council President, on behalf of Councilwoman Lozada, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and probably second. All in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Motion carries, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title of resolution number 230-795. 795.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2045 North 4th Street located in the 7th Councilmanic District.
Thank you. The chair again recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. On behalf of Councilwoman Ketty Lozada, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, 230-796.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1909 North Phillip Street located in the 7th Councilmanic District.
Thank you. The chair again recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. On behalf of Councilman Ketty Lozada, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, 230-797.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2550 North Lee Street located in the 7th Councilmanic District.
Thank you. The chair again recognizes Councilman Johnson for a motion.
Thank you, Council President. On behalf of Councilman Ketty Lozada, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, 230-798.
A resolution authorizing the conveyance of ownership, interest in, and the assignment of the purchase and development agreement for 19, 21, 23, 25, and 27 East Somerset Street and 3022 and 3026 North America Street, located in the 7th Councilmanic District.
And the chair again recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. On behalf of Councilman Ketty Lozada, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title of 230-800.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 5232 Chester Avenue located in the 3rd Councilmanic District.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jones for a motion on behalf of Councilwoman Gautier.
On behalf of Member Gaudier, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, 230-574A.
An ordinance to amend Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Zoning and Planning by revising certain provisions of Chapter 14500 entitled Overlay Zoning Districts by creating the Brewerytown-Sharswood Overlay Sub-Area.
This bill had been read on 2 different days. The question now, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Brooks. Councilman Driscoll. Councilwoman Gautier. Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson. Councilman Harity. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones. Councilman Phillips. Councilman Thomas.
Resolutions that I might have missed. Thank you, Council President.
Let the record reflect that Councilman Thomas is voting aye on all bills and resolutions during this absence from the chamber. Thank you, Councilman.
Councilwoman Vaughn. Council President Clark.
Aye. Ayes are 11, nays are 0. Majority of members present voting in affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, 230-654.
An ordinance approving a substantial amendment to the Consolidated Plan 2022 through 2026 and Annual Action Plan 2022 through 2023 to add $163,204,000 in Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery CDBG DR funding.
This bill had been read on 2 different days. The question now is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Brooks. Councilman Driscoll. Councilwoman Gautier. Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson. Councilman Harity. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones. Councilman Phillips. Councilman Thomas. Councilwoman Vaughn. Council President Clark.
Aye, the ayes are 11, Nays are 0. Majority of members present voting in affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, you have any additional resolutions?
A resolution honoring and congratulating the American Institute of Architects, Philadelphia, on its 150th anniversary celebration, introduced today by Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Council President. I move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and probably second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the Committee on Streets and Services to hold hearings to investigate the rise in moving violations and traffic deaths since 2020 and explore solutions to create a safer Philadelphia for people walking, cycling, and driving, introduced today by Councilman Thomas.
Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and probably second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and congratulating Champion of the Week, Salhi Khalifa, a carpenter apprentice at Carpenter's Apprentice Ready Program, for his dedication and hard work advancing his carpentry skills. Introduced today by Councilman Thomas and Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and probably second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and celebrating the 110th anniversary of the historic Falls of Schuylkill Library, introduced today by Councilman Jones.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and probably second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution designating November 25, 2023, the Day of Serenity in the City of Philadelphia, providing communities disproportionately impacted by gun violence the opportunity to gather in peace and healing, introduced today by Councilwoman Gautier.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gautier.
Hi, Council President, sorry. Can I be recorded as voting aye on all bills and resolutions previously? And I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and probably second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and let the record reflect that Councilwoman Gautier is voting aye on all bills and resolutions during her absence from the chamber.
There are no other resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. That concludes our calendar for today, and we will now have our speeches. Any speeches on behalf of the minority? Speeches on behalf of the majority. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I rise to recognize that in a couple of days we will be sitting with our families, God willing, being thankful for the things that we have, being thankful for each other, and thankful for the fact that we can spend that time together. About 5,775 miles from here, in the Middle East, there won't be that kind of Thanksgiving celebration. There won't be that time to appreciate family members. We recognized in this council the fact that we don't support terrorists, that we did not support the invasion and kidnapping of innocent people that were taken into Gaza, but we also have a responsibility to cite that there have been over 4,500 children murdered since that time. Almost one per mile in the distance that we have here. In Gaza, it has the largest funeral burial ground for young people in the world. So what I hope that during this time that we are enjoying each other, that we pray for peace, that we pray for the cease and desist of hostilities, that they find that common ground, that we can find peace because it has the potential to spread far beyond Gaza. And we should not forget those who were killed in Israel, those who were kidnapped from Israel, and those who are dying in Gaza today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to take an opportunity to remind all of our colleagues in council regarding the presence of the American Institute of Architects Philadelphia chapter. We'll have a meet and greet after council today. And for the record, colleagues, we will have catering provided by Details by Ms. Dawn, an outstanding African-American female-owned caterer here in the Philadelphia region. So we invite you all to join us with the architects directly after council. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. There being no additional speeches on behalf of the minority and the majority, with that, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that council stand adjourned until Thursday, November 30th, 2023 at 10 a.m.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that council stand adjourned until Thursday, November 30th, 2023, 10 a.m. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you all very much.